Imagine being a world-famous boxer, married to the woman you love, living a stable and successful life, until one night everything is taken from you. Your wife is killed, your money disappears, and your life completely collapses. That's exactly what happens to the main character of our movie, Billy Hope. The story begins inside a locker room where we see Billy preparing for an important fight. We learn that he has been the world boxing champion for 3 consecutive years, and tonight is the final match where he plans to defend his title once again. As he gets ready, a woman named Maureen enters the locker room. From their conversation, it's clear that Maureen is Billy's wife, that he deeply loves her, and that he trusts her more than anyone else. Billy then walks into the ring to face his opponent, Barry Jones. It quickly becomes obvious that Jones is much faster and physically stronger than Billy. For most of the fight, Billy is focused mainly on defending himself rather than attacking. The match seems almost decided in Jones's favor when Billy suffers a serious injury to his eye, which starts bleeding badly. His trainer warns him to protect the eye, explaining that the injury could permanently end his boxing career if it gets worse. The fight continues for a long time, reaching the 9th round. Maureen looks extremely uncomfortable and distressed watching from the sidelines. She clearly hates seeing Billy take so much punishment, not because she doubts him, but because she loves him and fears something terrible could happen. During this moment, the commentator gives us background on Billy's life, explaining that Billy and Maureen both grew up in the same orphanage, met there as children, and have been together ever since. The commentator also mentions that Billy has survived much worse situations in life, which is why people still believe in him. Against all odds, Billy manages to push through. His incredible endurance is what carried him through previous fights, and once again, it saves him. Before the 10th round begins, Maureen talks to Billy and tells him that he has to win this fight. When the final round starts, the match becomes extremely aggressive. This time, Billy performs much better than before. He notices that Jones is getting tired and begins attacking non-stop, taking advantage of Jones's poor defense. Billy lands a powerful punch that knocks Jones to the ground. Jones manages to stand up, but Billy doesn't let up. He delivers another crushing blow, and this time, Jones fails to get back on his feet. Billy wins the fight and becomes world champion for the 4th time in a row. We then learn that Billy's manager and close friends are actually people he grew up with in the orphanage. They celebrate together, proud of everything he's achieved. Afterward, Billy celebrates privately with Maureen. Later, back in the locker room, Maureen expresses her frustration and fear. She's upset because the constant injuries could lead to permanent damage. Billy reassures her, telling her not to worry and insisting that he'll be fine. They then attend a press conference. A reporter asks Billy whether he expected this outcome, and Billy confidently replies that he should have ended the fight much earlier. When asked about his next opponent, a man named Miguel Escobar suddenly appears and announces that he wants to fight Billy. Escobar mocks and provokes him, trying to trigger a reaction. Billy stays calm, thanks the reporters, and ends the conference without engaging. Later, Billy tells his manager, Jordan, that he wants a fight with Escobar to shut him up once and for all. Jordan disagrees, explaining that there are bigger, more profitable fights available. Billy ignores the advice. When Billy returns home, he checks on his daughter. Their relationship is warm and loving. His daughter carefully counts the cuts and bruises on his face, clearly worried about him. It becomes obvious that Billy is trying to build the loving family he never had growing up in the orphanage. Later that night, Billy and Maureen talk again about boxing. Maureen insists that he should quit, saying that money means nothing if he gets seriously hurt. She suggests starting a business or doing something else entirely. Billy argues that boxing is the reason they have the life they're living. Eventually, Maureen asks him to at least take a 1-year break. Her concern comes purely from love, and Billy finally agrees. The next day, Billy wakes up exhausted from the fight, but still goes out and buys expensive watches for his friends as a reward for standing by him all these years. Meanwhile, Maureen meets with Jordan, who brings new fight contracts. She refuses them, insisting that Billy needs rest. Jordan strongly disagrees, but Billy later confirms the decision himself, saying he wants time with his family. Soon after, Billy attends a charity event where he's expected to give a speech to encourage donations for an orphanage. Many wealthy people are present, and the donations could greatly greatly helped the children. Billy is hesitant because talking about his past is painful, and he doesn't want to appear weak. Maureen encourages him again, acting as the voice of reason. Billy finally gives the speech. He talks about growing up in the orphanage and receiving his first pair of boxing gloves there. Old, broken gloves, but the first thing he ever truly owned. He speaks about Maureen, saying she was the strongest support in his life, and that without her, none of his success would exist. He donates a large sum to the orphanage and urges the wealthy guests to do the same. As Billy and Maureen leave the event, Escobar approaches again and starts provoking him, claiming he'll take Billy's title and even his wife. Maureen tries to calm Billy, reminding him that Escobar just wants a reaction and urging them to leave. Billy, overwhelmed with anger, attacks Escobar and a violent fight breaks out. Suddenly, gunshots are fired. Chaos erupts. Tragically, Maureen is struck by a bullet fired by one of Escobar's men. Billy rushes to her side, desperately trying to stop the bleeding and keep her conscious. Despite his efforts, Maureen bleeds heavily and dies in his arms. Billy breaks down completely, unable to accept what has happened. The next day, police question Billy. He doesn't know who fired the shot. His only concern is getting back to his daughter, who is home alone. The investigator gives Billy his card and asks him to call if he remembers anything. Billy then attends Maureen's funeral, where only a small number of people are present, emphasizing how alone he truly is now. This is mainly because Billy and his wife never had any family of their own. Once the funeral ends and everyone leaves, Billy is left standing there completely alone. The pain and grief are clearly written all over his face. When he finally returns home, he goes to talk to his daughter, trying his best to comfort her because she's deeply affected by her mother's death. She's heartbroken and confused. Later, when Billy walks toward his bedroom, memories of his wife overwhelm him. He can't bring himself to enter the room alone. Instead, he sits in the hallway and breaks down crying. At the same time, his daughter is crying quietly in her own room, equally shattered by the loss. A few days later, we see Billy alone in his bedroom, screaming into a pillow so his daughter won't hear him. A gun lies in front of him. For a moment, he seriously considers ending his own life. But then the thought of leaving his daughter alone stops him. He puts the gun down and makes a different decision. Revenge. He picks up the gun and leaves the house, determined to confront the man responsible for his wife's death. As Billy steps outside, he runs into one of his friends, who has been sitting outside the house for a long time just to check on him. Billy has been in this dark state for weeks, and this friend genuinely cares about him. But Billy completely loses control. He explodes with anger and nearly attacks him. The reason is simple. This man was Maureen's personal bodyguard, the one who was always with her and was supposed to protect her. Billy's emotions are out of control, and he can't think clearly. He yells at his friend and tells him to leave and never come back. Unlike Billy's other friends, who have completely disappeared, this man truly cares, but Billy pushes him away anyway. Billy then goes to the house of a man named Hector, the one who fired the gun that killed his wife. Hector's wife opens the door and tells Billy that Hector isn't home. Billy doesn't believe her. He offers her money, trying to bribe her into revealing Hector's location. Seeing her poor condition and clear signs of addiction, she finally opens the door wider. Billy pulls out his gun and threatens to kill her if she doesn't tell him where Hector is. Terrified, she begs for her life, saying she has children and swearing that she truly doesn't know where Hector is. Their miserable living conditions soften Billy's heart. He lowers the gun, gives her money instead, and walks away. On his way back home, Billy abandons the idea of killing Hector. He realizes that if he does, those children will end up in an orphanage, just like he did. He refuses to let another family suffer the same tragedy he lived through. Completely broken and hopeless, Billy feels that everything he worked for in life is meaningless. He starts smashing picture frames and destroying the trophies and awards he once proudly earned. The next day, Jordan and Billy's lawyer come to speak with him. They explain that Billy has massive unpaid taxes, and that if he continues living this way, he'll be bankrupt very soon. His money is almost gone, and they've already started selling his luxury cars. Soon, even the house might have to be sold. Billy is devastated. He tells them that this house belongs to his daughter, that it's filled with memories of him and Maureen, and that selling it would destroy what little they have left. He insists there must be another solution. After the lawyer leaves, Jordan speaks honestly with Billy. He tells him that he's in a serious financial crisis, and that there's only one way out: a boxing match against a fighter named Trey. The contract is worth $30 million, enough to clear all his debts and save the house. Jordan explains that to win, Billy must pull himself out of his current mental state immediately. He urges him to do it not just for himself, but for his daughter and the future he promised her. Billy agrees and signs the contract. We then see the fight between Billy and Trey. It's painfully obvious that Billy has lost everything: his skills, his focus, his speed. He can't even defend himself properly. Years of drinking and emotional trauma have completely destroyed him. After the first round, Billy is already broken and knows he's going to lose. He begs the people around him to stop the fight, but no one listens. They force him to continue. Billy realizes that he is completely alone. No one cares how he feels. He stands there and completely gives up. Trey continues beating him while Billy barely reacts. His mental state is so unstable that he accidentally hits the referee, which results in a massive fine. His bank accounts are frozen and the fight contract is canceled. Everything collapses at once. His manager leaves him and starts working with Escobar instead. When Billy learns this, he's crushed. As he walks away from his former manager, Maureen's words echo in his mind. She always warned him that people only stayed because of money and success, and that once he fell, they'd scatter like roaches. Driving home, Billy remembers the night Maureen died. He regrets attacking Escobar and wishes he had listened to her and walked away from the party. If he had, she would still be alive. Overcome by guilt, Billy loses consciousness while driving and crashes into a tree. His daughter hears the crash and rushes outside, terrified, only to find that Billy managed to get out of the car and make his way back into the house. Billy's condition is extremely bad. He's bleeding heavily, and his daughter panics and calls emergency services. The ambulance rushes him to the hospital. When Billy wakes up, he's completely out of control. He keeps shouting his daughter's name, refusing to stay in the hospital because he's terrified of leaving her alone. He's angry, scared, and emotionally broken. The medical staff tries everything to calm him down, but nothing works. In the end, they're forced to sedate him so they can handle the situation. As the sedative kicks in, Billy starts hallucinating. He imagines his wife sitting in front of him, crying, and the guilt completely consumes him. The next thing we see is Billy standing in court. He's being tried for what happened that night in front of his daughter. He was heavily drunk, mentally unstable, and carrying a firearm. The judge rules that Billy is unfit to raise his child. Since neither Billy nor Maureen had any family, the court decides that his daughter will be sent to an orphanage. The verdict hits Billy like a hammer to the head. He knows exactly how cruel life in an orphanage can be because he lived it himself. He spent his entire life trying to make sure his daughter would never experience that pain. He completely loses control in the courtroom, arguing and shouting, begging them not to do this to her. The court grants one condition: the case will be reviewed again in 1 month. During that month, Billy must stop drinking, stabilize his life, and find a steady job to prove he can take care of his daughter. When Billy returns home, things only get worse. He finds out that the bank has seized his mansion. Movers are already inside, taking away furniture and personal belongings. The house that once held every memory of him and Maureen is being stripped apart. Billy sits outside, completely shattered. That's when his friend shows up, the only friend who hasn't abandoned him. Everyone else chose money and went to work with Escobar. This friend came because he heard about the house being taken and wanted to check on Billy. He drives Billy to a boxing gym and tries to return the expensive watch Billy once gifted him. Billy refuses to take it back. Without saying much, Billy walks into the gym. Inside, he meets a trainer named Wills. Billy asks him to train him. Wills tells him straight up that he doesn't train professional fighters. Billy insists, explaining that he came specifically because he knows Wills is a great coach and has trained strong fighters before. He admits he's lost everything in his life and has no option left but to return to boxing if he wants his daughter back. Wills finally agrees, but under strict conditions. Billy must stop drinking, stop swearing, and follow discipline. Billy accepts immediately. Billy then explains that the court also requires him to have a legitimate job. Wills tells him that the night guard recently quit and offers Billy the job. It includes cleaning the gym and scrubbing bathrooms. Billy reacts badly, saying he's a former world champion and won't clean toilets. He storms out of the gym. Later, Billy goes to the child care center to visit his daughter, Lily. He meets the woman in charge of approving visits. She asks him several questions to determine whether he's fit to see his child. Billy hasn't stopped drinking, hasn't found a job, and hasn't stabilized his life at all. When she asks about employment, Billy lies and says he works at Will's gym. She immediately notices something is off and asks for Will's phone number. Billy says he doesn't have a phone. That's when she tells him he's not allowed to see his daughter, explaining that his condition is too unstable and Lily shouldn't see him like this. Billy breaks down, telling her that the only reason he's in this condition is because he hasn't been allowed to see his daughter. He begs her to let him see Lily just this once and promises he'll fix everything. She feels sorry for him and finally agrees. When Billy meets Lily, it's painfully clear that she's angry and distant. She barely speaks to him. She tells him that he left her alone and ruined everything. She ends the visit early and walks away. Billy's heart completely shatters. He's willing to do anything to hold his daughter again. At the same time, the anger and desire for revenge over his wife's death are still burning inside him. That night, Billy returns to the gym. He tells Wills that he accepts the job and will clean the place. Wills agrees. We see Billy cleaning the gym all night long. During the day, he runs through the streets to rebuild his stamina. He trains relentlessly, pushing his body to its limits. While working there, he meets a young boy named Hoppy, who admires Billy and looks up to him as a hero. After some time, Billy tries again to visit Lily, but this time she refuses to see him at all. Completely crushed, Billy goes to a bar to drink. Wills happens to be there and sees him. He's disappointed, reminding Billy that quitting alcohol was part of their agreement. Wills asks him what his future plan is. Billy says he wants to return to boxing so he can get his daughter back. Wills tells him that if he keeps thinking that way, he'll end up right back where he started. He explains that Billy hasn't fixed the real problem that destroyed his life in the first place. He keeps pushing Billy to confront the root cause. Billy gets angry, can't handle the truth, and walks away. Billy walks away at first, but after calming down, he comes back and sits with Wills to talk. He admits that he has no real plans for the future and hasn't even been thinking clearly. He apologizes for losing his temper earlier and explains that his wife was the only person who ever kept him under control. She was the one who planned everything in his life. He depended on her completely. Since she died, Billy feels lost. His life has been falling apart right in front of him, and he doesn't know how to stop it or fix anything. Wills tells him that the first thing he must learn is how to control his anger, because that anger is what led him to this point in the first place. Billy opens up even more and says that his daughter refuses to see him, and that pain is tearing him apart. He doesn't know what to do. Wills tells him to give his daughter space and let her calm down. Too much has changed in her life all at once. He reminds Billy that she's still his daughter and that she will come back to him eventually, but only if Billy proves that he's fighting for her. When she sees that effort, she'll feel his love again. We then see Billy training harder than ever before. This time, he's stronger, more focused, and disciplined. He spends time helping the young boy, Hoppy, treating him almost like a son. When Billy goes to visit his daughter again, she still refuses to see him. But this time, he's prepared for that. He leaves her a toy she loves and asks the supervisor to give it to her with a message saying that her father loves her deeply and will do anything to hold her again. That night, Wills tells Billy that he's finally ready for real training. He stretches a rope across the gym and explains that Billy must treat every opponent like an enemy. Before finishing an enemy, he must first know how to defend himself from their attacks. He tells Billy not to throw everything at once, but to start with weaker punches and gradually increase power. That way, the opponent won't know what to expect. Using the rope, Wills teaches Billy a new defensive technique. He brings in another fighter from the gym and tells him to do nothing but attack Billy non-stop. The goal is defense. Wills explains that Billy always had incredible endurance, but he used it the wrong way. He used to absorb punishment early just to wear opponents down, which exhausted him as well. Now, Billy must stay sharp and protected, so that when his opponent weakens, he can finish the fight cleanly. Sometime later, Billy visits Lily again, and this time she agrees to see him. She sits with him and asks for help practicing some words, proudly showing that she's learned how to read and write. Billy becomes emotional, wishing he could have been there to see these moments. The story then moves to another court hearing. The judge reviews Billy's behavior to see if he's stabilized enough to regain custody. Unfortunately, the court denies him again and extends the decision for another month. After leaving the courtroom, Billy talks to Wills, who tells him that he has to keep fighting and never give up on his daughter. Wills promises to stand by him until he succeeds. succeeds. We then learn that Wills himself was once a professional boxer, but a severe eye injury ended his career. The next day, a man approaches Wills and Billy with an offer to fight in a boxing match. He explains that it's a charity event, no license required, and that the match could prove Billy is truly back. Billy sees it as a great opportunity and agrees. While preparing, Billy mentions that Hoppy hasn't changed clothes in days and explains that the boy's parents are fighting and his mother left the house. Wills tells him they fight often, but usually get back together. Billy feels bad for the kid, but doesn't know how to help. Billy later visits Lily again and tells her that he's going to bring her home soon. He explains that he's back in boxing and feeling stronger. He also tells her about the upcoming match. Lily gets excited and wants to attend, but Billy explains that the court ordered her to stay in the orphanage one more month. When Lily realizes she won't be leaving with her father, she completely breaks down. She screams at Billy, hits him, and tells him that everything is his fault. She says she's stuck there because of him and that he couldn't even save her. In anger and pain, she tells him she wishes her mother had lived and that Billy had died instead. She says she hates him and walks away. Those words destroy Billy, but they also ignite something inside him. His determination grows stronger than ever to completely dominate his next opponent. When the match arrives, Billy's performance is incredible. He's transformed. He defends smartly, strikes at the right moments, and controls the fight with precision. He defeats his opponent easily, without taking a single drop of blood. Watching from the crowd is Jordan, Billy's former manager. He's impressed by Billy's new style. After the charity match, Jordan approaches Billy and tells him that he has powerful connections. He says he can help Billy get his boxing license back, and once that happens, they can arrange a fight with Escobar. The idea excites Billy instantly. Winning that fight would mean reclaiming his championship belt, honoring his wife's memory, and finally bringing his daughter back home for good. Billy takes the offer to Wills, but Wills immediately refuses. He tells Billy that he isn't ready for a fight like that, especially with only 6 weeks to prepare. That amount of time isn't nearly enough. Wills explains that Jordan knows this very well and is pushing the fight anyway because he expects Billy to lose. To Jordan, Billy is just a way to make money, nothing more. Billy argues back, saying this fight means everything to him. It's his chance to get his daughter back and take justice for his wife. He tells Wills that he cannot win this fight without him. Wills gets angry, walks away, and leaves the gym. But Billy doesn't give up. Later that night, he goes back to the gym and talks to Wills again. He asks him honestly who he thinks will win the fight, him or Escobar. Wills breaks down emotionally and tells Billy about his past. He explains that his son died because of domestic violence. His father was fighting with his mother, and the boy tried to protect her. The father pulled out a gun, and the child was shot by mistake. Wills is filled with guilt. He believes that if he had paid more attention to Billy earlier and kept the boy at the gym, that tragedy might not have happened. Wills says life is cruel, especially for the kids who come to his gym. Most of them have no hope. He spends his days telling them that life will get better, even though reality is harsh. He tells Billy that he must do something meaningful, something that gives those kids real hope. That's why he agrees to train Billy. Not for money, not for fame, but to show those kids that change is possible. We then move to the final court hearing. Billy finally wins custody of his daughter and brings her to the small apartment he's living in now. He's overwhelmed with happiness. His daughter wants to attend his next fight, but Billy refuses. He tells her that if her mother were alive, she wouldn't want her there. Together, they visit Maureen's grave, both of them grieving deeply. Lily insists again that she wants to be part of the fight. She suggests staying in the locker room if she's not allowed to watch the match. Billy agrees. We then see Billy training intensely for the upcoming fight. Over time, his physical condition improves dramatically. He becomes stronger, sharper, and completely prepared. At the same time, we see Escobar training hard as well, this time with Billy's former coach. Fight day arrives. Billy walks into the ring without music, fully focused. Lily watches the match from the locker room with her caretaker. The fight begins, and Billy's style is completely different now. He lands solid punches and blocks Escobar's attacks with precision. Both fighters are strong, and the match remains evenly balanced for the first 4 rounds. Escobar then targets Billy's injured eye and lands a brutal punch. Billy's focus starts to slip, and his eye begins bleeding badly. Lily sees everything from the locker room and is terrified. Still, Billy remains silent and determined. He continues fighting through the pain as the rounds pass. The bleeding gets worse, and the doctor warns him that one more hit could cost him his eye forever. Billy refuses to quit. He keeps standing, keeps fighting, and keeps landing punches. In the 11th round, Escobar whispers to Billy, telling him that he'll never get justice for his wife. He's trying to provoke him and break his concentration. Billy almost loses control, but Wills pulls him back mentally. He reminds Billy that his daughter is watching and that his wife is watching too. To reclaim his life, Billy must control his anger. Escobar knows his weakness and wants that rage to consume him. The 12th and final round begins. Billy, barely able to see, throws everything he has left. He dodges attacks purely on instinct and suddenly lands a massive punch that knocks Escobar down. Escobar gets back up and the fight ends with a draw. The decision goes to the judges. The entire arena holds its breath. Finally, the winner is announced, Billy Hope. His old friends rush toward him, but Billy avoids them. Instead, he walks to the corner where he used to greet his wife after fights. He tells her that he did it, that he's bringing their home back. Overcome with emotion, he breaks down in tears. Later in the locker room, Billy gives his championship belt to Wills. His daughter runs into his arms, hugs him tightly, and tells him she loves him and is proud of him. And that's where this emotional story ends. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for the watching. See you in the next one.